Well, hello, my little beauties, and welcome to this little Saturday waffle. And apologies to Mame Meister if I've stolen your phrase there. He does an excellent show called The Friday Waffle, by the way. Anyway, I have about 25 minutes to kill because I'm going out today, and I thought I would come on and have a little chat. Just, babble on about a few things and say hello and all of that stuff. The last time I was on, I was doing a ridiculous makeover thing and I overdone it with the fake tan. It looked ridiculous. But I have no fake tan today. Although I did wake up and my hair had, especially the sides, had miraculously changed colour. Don't know how. Anyway, I thought I would come on and just say a quick hello to anyone who has contacted me about contributing to the Trongate framework. And I have one message that's definitely come in. It's very nicely written and everything. I will be responding this weekend to that email and any others that have come in. It's actually an internal message at the Trongate site. So if you've contacted me or submitted a thing on the Trongate site and says you'd be interested in contributing, thank you. I'll be in touch soon. My light's freaking out, or my computer, it doesn't know what to do with the lighting. I can see myself on the screen, see it changing. I don't know how to fix that, and I do apologise. Um, so anyway, what do we talk about if we've got 25 minutes or so to spare? Well, I'm going to give you three little subjects that I'd like to babble on about. Uh, One is going to be the current state of AI, and this is sort of, well, it's entirely a personal thing. I'm not talking about the industry or anything more broadly. I'm not predicting the future. I'm just going to be talking about how I am feeling personally about AI. And this is kind of a response to Simon, who had sent me a Skype message earlier on. And at that time, I wasn't quite able to respond. It was on the laptop, and I was kind of on the move. So I'm going to just tell you how I'm feeling about AI and where I am as far as that side of things goes. I also want to talk a wee bit about um, actually a tweet that came up just a couple of days ago. David Icke, who, as we know, is the world's only reliable news source these days, he had posted a tweet and says, "What is it with everybody, all of the alternative media, turning to Jesus?" He says, check this out. And he did a video of Russell Brand. And Russell Brand's going through these rosary beads and doing the little prayer thing. I'm not even sure of the name of it. But David Icke asked the question, how come the alternative mainstream media are all suddenly digging Jesus? And I have a few thoughts about that I'd like to give you. But first of all, I thought I would mention I thought that this was 1 year of dressing like this, but it's not. It's only 9 months. However, this is a pretty big milestone for me because when I got involved in the business of dressing and what I call it traditional, right? If you look at video footage of places like London in the 50s or Paris, there's footage on YouTube of San Francisco. You look at all of these major Western cities and everybody's dressed immaculately, you know? And about 9 months ago, I made a decision. I'm going to do that. And so I've started, as some of you have noticed, I've changed the way I dress. And I suppose you could just say, well, he started wearing suits, but I think of it more as a traditional thing. So, for example, I do have a pocket watch here and it works. In fact, I've got a few of these, and they serve a purpose. I use this to keep track of a client's time zone. Um, and I've started doing things like I wear a mechanical watch these days. And my standard is that if somebody, and I said it before, somebody said, oh yeah, you're probably just in your underwear. And I said, okay, you can ask me to stand up. Anybody can do it in any live stream. And if you catch me out, I'll give you $1,000. So the standard I've got for myself is top to toe. And it's kind of a challenge, you know, because it takes me a long time to get ready. I am top. If somebody walks in that door, they're not going to go, oh, look at the state of him. I'm top to toe. And I thought I would just say a couple of little words about how that's going and the milestone that I've got today, because I do have a milestone. Um, so first of all, the milestone. When I started dressing like this, I thought to myself, right, I'm going to dress like this pretty much most of the time, except if I'm going a day out somewhere. I live in Scotland, we have lots of hills and stuff. Sometimes you might want to go hill walking. We've got nice beaches as well, and I'm hardly going to dress like this. So I thought I'll have a day off when I'm doing that other stuff, and I'll maybe have a day off if I'm actually, as strange as it sounds, if I'm dealing with clients, I dress down. I do it the other way, especially if I'm selling. So I'll dress down if I'm selling or if I'm dealing with clients, but I'll dress up for everything else, and I'll also dress down if I'm going a day out. Anyway, towards, let me guess, probably about October last year, I went a day out to a little island called Millport. Little obscure one horse town sort of place. You get the ferry out there, and there's not much there actually. And I was like, okay, I'll dress down here. And I got my lumberjack shirt on with all holes on it. And I wore a blue Seiko watch, which I think might have been a rip-off because I picked it up for far less than it should have been worth actually. But I was like, okay, I'll wear this diver's watch and I'm all jaked out. And I had the most miserable day ever, or at least of the year. I just had a bad day. There was a lot of things. It was just a rubbish day, you know. One of those days where you slip on banana skins and stuff. And so I made myself this strange little promise. I thought, you know what? I'm dressing like this now every day. I don't care where I'm going. So in about 20 minutes, I'm leaving to go another day out. Similar little island. It's going to be a place called Rothsay. It's another one horse town. I'll probably be walking for miles. It's probably going to be raining. There might even be a little bit of hill climbing. But this is how I'm going to dress. So I feel quite good about that, and I'm quite serious about doing that, you know? So, why on earth did I start dressing like this? You may wonder. Well, probably, I'd say when I started building the Trongate framework, I went through a phase that lasted about 3 years, maybe even 3.5 years, where I was falling out of bed, coming straight to the computer. I was whacking a black coffee and I was just coding all day and all night, insane hours. And it got to the point where I was working, coding until 2 a.m. Then I would turn in and I would get up at 5:30 a.m. and I would do it again. And I was doing this 7 days a week and I was live streaming most of it. The only reason I'd stop live streaming about 9 o'clock is because, I have neighbours. So I had this insane lifestyle where that is literally what I was doing. And I had this theory that when you wake up, your brain is like, I mean, this is just a theory. I have no scientific backup. But I felt as if my brain was like, and your brain is a bit like a laptop battery. And when you wake up, you've got a full charge. But as the day goes on, it goes down and down and down. So I wanted to get as much charge as possible, or as much usage as possible of my brain when I was waking up. So this is why I was waking up and, black coffee and just straight coding. And quite frankly, that doesn't make you a pleasant dude to be around, you know? I mean, geez, it's a miracle I've still got my own teeth, because I completely let myself go in every way that you possibly could. And after that phase of my life came to an end and it was like, okay, I'm kind of happy with Trongate, I think that internally, I was so I'm happy with the work that I did, but I was kind of disgusted with myself, you know? And I wanted to go entirely the other way. And this was one of the ways that I could go entirely the other way. So these days, when I wake up, the first thing I do is I clean up and I keep the place immaculate. It's almost like a military regime. And then I get ready, and um, I always dress nicely. I've got about 7 jackets like this with different colours and materials. I think I've got about 6 white shirts and 2 stripy shirts. I've got 19 ties. I think I've got 3 pocket watches, and anyway, you get the idea. But my life has changed because now when I wake up, I've got at least an hour and a half to 2 hours of just getting ready and cleaning up and all that before I can write a line of code, you know? Um, and well, I've kind of given you one of the reasons why I started doing this. It was a reaction against myself because I have to go into a new chapter, you know? And I thought that would be cool. But the other thing is as well is that I kind of I'm not a political guy, right? I mean, there's no prospect of me voting, and I don't care who you vote for, as long as it's not Biden or the SNP. Um, but I'm not going to be voting or anything like that. But there's no question in my mind that the world has gone kind of mad. And when I see I'll put it this way. If I was going to write a book called Know Your Enemy and there was going to be a cover, the cover would be somebody with purple hair, a ring through their nose, tattoos, and uh, all sorts of piercings and crap like that, you know? And so I wanted to do something that was the complete opposite of that. 180 degrees, you know? So I have no tattoos. I have no piercings. I have no bullshit. I'm whatever the wokeists are doing, quite frankly, I'm doing the opposite. Now I haven't um, said that to too many people or anything, but that's the sort of hidden code that I'm dishing out, and only a few people get it, you know? And how is it going? Well, um, good. It's now got to the stage where I don't feel comfortable unless I'm dressed smartly. It's very strange. And even if I take this tie off, I don't look right and I don't feel good. So there comes a moment where you're like, okay, I'm comfortable with this, you know? Um, that's kind of good. And the other thing I can tell you is when you go through life dressed like this, it's a little bit like um there's these bank cards I've heard that people can get. I know one guy who had one, and they're black. And if you have one of these bank cards, it basically means you're a millionaire. You can buy anything, and you've got insane credit. Dressing up like I don't have one of those cards, but dressing up like this, to me, it feels a wee bit like you've got one of those cards. And I don't really mean so much that people call you sir and all that, although you do get that. You do get that. But it's more a case of most people, not all, but the vast majority of people who are out there, they they basically treat you a little bit better. So, for example, there's this thing you have to get in the UK if you've got a car. It's called an MOT. Every year you hand your car into a mechanic, and the mechanic looks at you and they think, how much can I rip this person off for? Now, I've tried every Jedi mind trick in the world, and I haven't figured out how to get a cheap MOT, right? But this year something different happened. I thought, right, I'm just going to go in like this. I don't care. If they look at me and say I'm going to rip the guy off, I'll deal with it. And the guy says to me at the MOT, says, right, it's going to be 500, which is kind of dear. I thought it'd be less. And I was like, oh, man, that's a bit of a disappointment. And the guy was like, well, okay, I'll bring it down for you. And then he charged me 400. Now that has never happened, right? So there's loads of little things like that. Um, just the kind of things that people basically don't give you shit, you know? If I go in a supermarket and you know how sometimes you walk out and deet, 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 and the thing goes off for some reason, I'll just get waved through, you know? I'll never get stopped and asked for a receipt, you know, things like that. You can talk to people and they assume, the fools, that you're not going to try and beat them up or something like that. So you do get people treat you a little bit differently. However, you also attract bad vibes from morons. Now, it hasn't happened too often, but I can think of two instances where I actually had grief, and I think that there are knuckle draggers who see somebody dressed like this and they think, I'm going to beat him up, and they think that you're an easy target. So I had two instances I can think of. One was when I was going down the street and I had two little Neds thrown. I think they threw something at me, I'm not sure. But they were behind me and they were giving me jip. I had an umbrella up though, but that was an irritation. Another time is when I get caught up in some parking shenanigans. It's not worth even going into, but a taxi driver had parked on a double yellow line beside where I had parked perfectly legally. So we were blocking the road. But I had parked legally. He appears parked double yellow and we blocked him. And when I came back, it's like, oh, look at you playing that taxi driver. And I'm thinking, okay, this is an unusual apology I'm getting. And the guy said, I'm going to knock you out. This was at the Sainsbury's in Darnley, for anyone who's wondering, in Glasgow. He says, I'm going to knock you out. And there's people around. And I did the most stupid response that you could ever do. At the time, I was watching a. It's so embarrassing. I said the most stupid line ever and so unconvincing. I said, make my day. And I did not sound like Clint Eastwood. And that is such, I feel like such an idiot. What a stupid thing to do. And I shouted it. And we had a little standoff, and I can't remember. Oh yeah, he opened his boot and he went in his car, and that was it, you know. Oh no, I never said make my day. I said make my day. Then I think I said don't you ever threaten me again, you podgy little fuck. Because he had a wee bit of a beer belly, and the thing that makes that funny is the guy was a lot taller than me. you, you call somebody bigger than you wee small, and it really confuses them, you know. Anyway, that's what happened. If I could go back to that situation, I would have reacted totally differently. If I could rewind the clock and go back to the situation where the taxi driver's given me grief, I would have said, ladies and gentlemen, there is, excuse me, everyone, the taxi driver here, this fellow here has just said that he's going to knock me out. So please do gather round, and if you'd like to get your phones out and record this, I'm sure it will be very entertaining indeed. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a knocking out about to commence. Thank you very much, sir. You may proceed with your knocking out. That's how I would have responded. More of an equalizer response, actually, when you think about it. That would have been far better than the Clint Eastwood make my day. What a stupid thing to say. It just came to me. Anyway, yeah, you do occasionally get knuckle draggers who think that they can have a go. So there's that, you know. But 99% of people are going to treat you just a little bit more nicely and stuff. And I tell you something else, it feels really good when you walk in somewhere and you know you're the best dressed dude in the whole place, you know. So that's pretty much that. Now, one other negative thing I'm going to mention before I move on from this topic is that I discovered this channel. Um, on YouTube, and I'm not going to mention the name of it, but it's this channel with a dude who talks about watches, and I've never encountered such a negative character in my life. He basically last week he'd okay, there was a big watch convention that happened last week, and this dipshit had gone on to the various people who were good enough to do live streams, and he kind of his whole vibe is that he does the money for nothing gig. Do you know what I mean? Look at them yo-yos. That's the way you do it, right? So he plays back these live streams and he's like, oh, look at the state of him, right? Look at them yo-yos, right? And he pauses the video and he's like, oh, look at that suit. He's wearing a $50 suit. Look at this guy. Look at this. Look at him. Yeah, 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 you know. And I think that's disgusting. I actually, uh, am I going to finish that sentence? No, I'm not. But I was very irritated to the point where I was considering basically I'm going to go after the guy because to hide behind a camera and to take clips of people who've been good enough to show us the event and live stream and then just tear right into them. And some of it was actually illegal. I'm absolutely sure of it. You cannot go on and accuse people of these ghastly crimes just for YouTube views and make it up. It was horrible, horrible, horrible. And as the guy was there and he's saying, oh, look, this dude wearing a $50 suit pretending he's a big shot. I just want to positively uh, offer a retort in the strongest manner that is possible. When you dress the way a guy like me dresses, you are going to get tossers who'll say things like, oh, look at him, he's wearing, look at him, it's that, look, where did he get that jacket? Asda, and all of that crap. Um, these people are full of shit. And this is why they hide behind cameras, you know? You'll never see them on camera themselves because whatever they're doing and whatever watch they've got, they don't look as good as a guy like me. And the fact of the matter is, I mean, if I do a clothes check right now, let me do the whole thing, right? I'll give you the prices and the locations of every item that I've got on, including my shoes, right? So, pocket watch. I got it as a gift from a friend. He was actually a guy I used to hire who helped me with web development stuff. Thank you, Dave, if you're watching. So the pocket watch was a freebie. This is a little stud that I picked up. And by the way, if you're wondering, the pocket watch is just a Seconda. It is mechanical, but it's not very expensive. Okay, that's all it is, right? The little thing here I picked up as part of a bundle of little stud things from eBay, and I think I paid £3 for 100 of these. The jacket I picked up from a Matalan. Um, what's the name of the shop for the place where when it doesn't sell, it goes here? Is it an outlet or something? I can't remember the name of it. It's a clearance store. So the stuff that doesn't sell goes there. And I picked this up. Was this a clearance store? I can't remember. I'm going to say about 45 quid. The tie I picked up for £3 on eBay. That's £3. This is a second hand tie. That's right. The shirts, I would never go second hand with a shirt. This would have been 16 or 17 quid out of Matalan. And I've got 6 of these. What else have we got? Oh, yeah, the watch. The watch. It's such a beautiful little watch, but this is a Pagani design. And I got this as the result of a swap with a friend. He likes watches and so do I. We did a little watch swap. Hello to you if you're watching. Um, Let me see what else we've got. The shoes, I'm wearing suede shoes. I picked them up also. Actually, hang on a sec. Oh dear, I might as well show you all of my shoes. So the pair I've got on, they look like this, except they're a slightly lighter colour, right? They look like this. Um, these are AliExpress shoes, and I think they cost 14 quid, but I like them. Uh, these here, I don't like the fact that they're pointed. That's an irritation. I wish they were not pointed. Um, but these were, I think, 20 quid out of Matalan again. There's a lot of stuff for this is like an advert for Matalan. And these ones, which are also irritatingly pointy, I wish they were not. They need to get a wee polish actually. They were also Matalan, about 20 quid. I can't remember. Trousers probably from that clearance store for 15 quid, thereabouts. And that's it. Now, as you can see, I am probably the most cheaply dressed person here. Do I give a rat's ass? No, I don't. I don't give a rat's ass. Is anybody watching me? Any human being on earth watching me right now and saying, oh, well, he's wearing cheap stuff, doesn't count? No, you still don't care, because I'm still the best dressed dude in the frigging neighbourhood. So nobody cares about that bullshit. And I just say it in case anybody ever gets the smart ass idea of saying, oh, he's wearing a such and such and he's wearing a such and such. That's absolute bullshit, you know? Anyway, enough of that topic. Let's move on to my next topic, which is going to be the state of AI. But first, let me say a little ahoy. We have thanks for the comments, folks. A little ahoy to tomorrow. V1. Now that would be my Roman numerals. Is that 6? The current state of AI says, well, the LLM models all seem infected by far left ethical inputs, that's for sure, which of course is utterly unethical. The suit is a reminder of a more civilized time. Thank you, thank you. You've just told me that you're a Star Wars fan, and I appreciate that. We've got Zmajika hill climbing. Health is the most important thing. You don't realize it until you've lost it. Include exercise and meditation in your regime. Thank you. I'll try. I've lost 7 pounds in 6 days. I've been doing my best with that. You can see I've got a water distiller behind me here, and I drink pure water, and I'm doing the best I can, you know. Water is a biggie for me. Thank you very much for that. Tomorrow, the 6th, again, I think that's a 6th, says, back when I used to wear suits, I used to get compliments like, you always look like $1 million. And that's back when that was worth a lot more. I had the you look $1 million compliment as well a few months ago. It was from an old guy, but my self-esteem will take anything it can get. And it's nice when people say that. Shabanshi Shahoo! Ahoy to you, and ahoy to everyone who's left a comment, especially. He says, when is AI getting into when is AI getting into vintage watches? Then you'd show us your AI watch collection. Well, one of the reasons why I got into watches is because I figured I'm a little bit nervous about the state of web development. I don't know how this is going to go, and I want something that does not involve any coding. And it's actually one of the reasons why I got into watches in the first place. So keep the two apart, you know, keep the two apart. And it's ahoy to Dan's stuff all the way from there in Michigan. How you doing, Dan? It's very nice to see you. So let's talk about the AI stuff then. Over the last week or so, in the private members area, we've been experimenting with AI, running AI locally. This is going to be the quickest summary ever, because I'm just going to tell you how it's gone. It turns out that you can download software. It's comparable to, if any of you have ever used something like, well, I don't need a comparison. You can download software that lets you download and interact with these LLMs, which I believe is large language model, right? So we experimented with a few of those. And when you download this stuff, I'll actually show you it right now. I can do this. We have the technology. So I'll show you the exact stuff that we've got. And I hope my computer doesn't crash. Here it is here. All right. So this is the thing that I've used, and others are available, so you certainly don't need to use this. And the idea is you download a model, so a large language model, an LLM. So if we go to download, you can see there's all these different models here. You saw ChatGPT, but there's other ones. And some of them you can see that's 3 gigabytes, 8 gig RAM. They're very intensive on the computer, but the idea is you download these, and then when you're ready to have a chat, I'm just going to choose a model. I'll go with this mini orca one here. And okay, we've now got that loaded. So I'm going to just say, can you explain the purpose of an li tag in HTML? And as you can see, it says, sure, the li tag is used to create a list item. It stands for list item, blah, 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 blah. Now, you may say, what's the big deal about that, DC? Well, the big deal is that this is running locally. So even if I lose my internet connection, this is all going to work. This is running AI locally. It's a major step forward. The other reason why this is significant is because you can now train these models locally as well. So Simon, for example, has been feeding one of them the Trongate framework documentation. And the idea is that you upload files such as PDFs, text files, and so on. And you say to the AI software, read that. Next thing you know, you can ask it questions about your documentation and things like that. It's all incredibly exciting. But I'm probably not going to touch it for about 6 months or so. And I'll tell you why. What I realized is that when you, and again, I'm not wanting to do any prediction of the future videos. Everybody's done that to death. I'm talking about getting down and dirty with this stuff, right? So what I noticed is the models that you can download, such as Mini Orca, yes, it's nice for doing a little demonstration like that, like I just showed you. But when it gets to serious questions, like coding questions and so on, the answers are weak by my estimation. They're just not as good as ChatGPT, the free one even. They're just not there at all. Now, you can download more powerful models, and some of them have had great write-ups. But I tried doing that, and what I found is it was just crashing my computer. On 2 occasions, we lost the live stream because I asked a query, and I'm using a Mac Mini with an M2 chip in it. But on all occasions, it was just crashing the computer. A couple of things that put me off was, even after the computer crashed, I switched back on and I did no live streams. I had nothing else on, and I asked the question with an advanced model, but without any live streaming on. So I'm like, okay, don't crash. And it never crashed. It produced an answer. But again, the answers were weak. They're not as good as ChatGPT, as far as I can tell. That's my own observation. Maybe you've had a different observation. The other thing, it has only occurred to me within the last couple of days, actually, that there is a huge difference between machine learning and AI. And I had it in my mind that it was kind of like, I don't know, computing, coding, machine learning, then AI like a pyramid, right? But whilst machine learning would have surely been used to produce these large language models, AI and machine learning, as far as I can tell, are two totally different things. And I think that I've got into the wrong thing. I think that I should have got into machine learning, and some of us might be on the same track here. You probably chose the wrong thing. You should have got into machine learning and you accidentally got into AI. Now, if I'm wrong about this, let me know in the comments. It's a new topic and I haven't got a clue what's going on. But here's what I'm thinking, right? Um, when you think about AI, okay, if I was to say what is AI, some of you folks would give beautiful, technically accurate answers. Some of those answers might be a bit flowery, certainly more graceful than anything that I could give you, right? But if you asked me what was AI and what is AI, and you asked for a DC definition, and I'm famous for my DC definitions where I ridiculously oversimplify stuff. The DC definition of AI would be a software system that you can chat to. That's it. That's it. There's nothing more. So the ability to type in a question and submit it, and of course you can submit via an API, and it can understand the language, the question, and respond. That's AI. That's all there is. Now, I was hoping to build, I had a few things that I've been hoping to build. One of them was a stock market alerts app, and one of them was a crypto alerts app. AI is going to be virtually useless for that type of stuff, and I've now realized that, because what I wanted to do was effectively say to the computer, here are 3 years of trading charts for the top 50 crypto coins, let's say. Excuse me 2 seconds. Hello? Doing great. How are you? Yeah, yeah. Are we all systems go? Good. I'll leave in approximately 7 minutes. Okay. See you then. Cheerio. Bye. All right. So what I wanted to say to the computer was, here's 3 years worth of charts, and here's also a live feed showing you influencers within the space, what they're saying on places like Twitter. And here's the front page of CNBC and Bloomberg, and here's a snapshot. So based on the chart stuff, the fancy name for that is technical analysis. If you're guessing a stock price based on chart movement. So we're going to do some technical analysis, then we're going to do, fancy phrase, fundamental analysis, which basically means looking at the sentiment. And my plan was to take both of those, put them together, throw them at a computer, and then have the computer say, buy Ethereum. That was what I was hoping to do. But that's got nothing to do with AI. Because the AI models at this point in time, as far as I can tell, are basically large language models. It's your computer, and again, I have to give the disclaimer that I might be wrong about this, but that's what I'm thinking. So I feel as if I've sort of made a mistake by getting into that thing, or I feel as if I've got into it a wee bit too soon. I also feel as if at this point in time, one of the things that's really nice about my brain recently is that over the last year, something has clicked and I don't waste time with stuff. And I haven't got time to waste training some crappy model that promises everything and delivers nothing. As things stand today, I believe that the best way to use AI is to bite the bullet and just buy an API key for ChatGPT 4. Just buy the darn key and use that. That's what I would do, because the alternative is you're getting into buying computers that cost thousands with NVIDIA graphics cards and all of that fancy stuff. And I just don't feel that I'm ready to do all of that right now. So that's where we are on AI. That's the state of AI. And I'm going to personally put it on the shelf until November. Why November? Because the 2 year rule, a guy who hired me that I've got a lot of respect for told me about the 2 year rule. When a red hot technology comes out, you wait 2 years, let it settle down before you get involved. We're still inside the 2 year window when it comes to AI. ChatGPT came out in November, year before last. So we've still got a bit of time here, and I'm going to be holding my horses. So that would be that. All right. Now, my final topic for the day. Do we have any more comments from you folks? I appreciate the comments. Yeah, you need tons of RAM, as Dan is saying there, and it's horrendous, you know. Um, so tomorrow is tomorrow is saying Tom, I'm going to call you, is saying machine learning is a subset of a vast array of AI subjects. Well, there you go. LLMs are, oh, I'm not even going to read it. You're far too intelligent for me. Okay. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you very much indeed. All I can tell you is that I drift between thinking this stuff is amazing and the things and we're all going to cure cancer, to this is just a glorified search engine. And I swing between the two. As far as the speculation about the future and all that goes, there's already a ton of people. I mean, I've gone on the record as saying that I think that we are looking at the slow death of web development here. Hence the reason why I got into watches. But I think we've maybe got a few years, right? So my final topic for this waffle, and I hope you don't mind an impromptu waffle here, or maybe I should say babble. I think Meme Meister's got the word waffle out. I don't want to steal his thing. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was very briefly the alternative media pushing Jesus. Now, I don't care what, well, am I going to say I don't care? I'll put it this way. You're welcome to believe whatever makes you sleep comfortably at night. And I can see, like, I don't want to get into a situation where I'm rating the different religions and all of that, nor do I think it's relevant what my own belief system is as far as what on earth is going on. None of that stuff is relevant, but David Icke had asked the question, why are people like Russell Brand now really pushing Christianity in the most forceful manner imaginable? And I just wanted to throw my 2 cents in and tell you what I think is going on. And I say this with no disrespect to anyone who's part of any religious group, but I'm seeing a huge connection here with the oh, that's right, we're not allowed to talk about these things, are we? The events of the last few years. Are you looking at the screen? I don't think YouTube's smart enough for that. I'm seeing a huge tie-in with that and the geopolitical landscape and pretty much everything. And there's, okay, I can't actually think of an intellectual way of saying this, so I'm just going to say it outright. I think that we have turned our back on the scientific way. And when I say we, I mean humanity. The way that those things were just rushed out without any ample testing or anything like that it would appear, I mean, there's compelling evidence to suggest that that was a poor decision. And unfortunately, a lot of people have suffered because of that, and it would appear that lives have been lost. Um, but regardless of that, even without the events of the last few years, there's now a truckload of evidence to suggest that what the sort of establishment medical community have been telling us is, in many respects, bullshit. Um, I think, since about the 40s or 50s, we have demonized fat, and we've said that the way to lose weight, for example, is to have low calorie diets. Well, now all of the evidence is going the other way. All of the evidence is saying that having fat in your diet, if it's the right type, is actually a good thing. And in fact, carbs are a bad thing. And I think that some really, really terrible advice has been dished out. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not pretending to be one. But for example, statins, we're not going to go into this. I'm not going to do a Kevin Trudeau and suddenly declare myself an alternative health expert. But I know, like, the guy I mentioned who did the 2 year advice thing, he used to weigh well over 300 pounds, well over 300 pounds, and he lost a boatload of weight. And he paid and had all the tests done where they measure the the build up in his arteries and stuff. He paid fortunes for this, and that guy defied the doctors, and they couldn't understand it. They were like, how can you not only lose weight but have all of your arteries clearing out and everything? How on earth did you do this? Like, were you what have you been doing? You've been eating lettuce leaves all day? Well, no. Turns out that he was eating bacon and fried egg and black pudding and all sorts of stuff like that. And the doctors were trying desperately to get him on these statins, and he was like, no, I'm going to go down this path. And the results that he had have been miraculous. And the doctor said to him off the record, look, we are told what to say to you, and you know, I cannot formally endorse what you've been doing because it's against the code, but clearly it's working, wink, wink. And when I look at the medical scene, and it seems that they're moving on to food as well, I think that it has been hijacked by Big Pharma. I think that healthcare has been absolutely hijacked, and I no longer trust any of it at all. And I think that if you watch the YouTube channel Dr. John Campbell, he is far more eloquent than me on these matters. The upshot of it is that humanity has turned its back on the scientific way. I almost said the Western way, that would be true as well. The scientific way has gone down the drain. And I think that also we cannot turn a blind eye to the fact that, hey, third world, in you come. I mean, that's happening on a massive scale. It's actually quite nice weather today here in the UK, so I imagine there must be hundreds of people coming in on those rubber dinghies, as has been happening. And again, I'm carefully trying to think of a graceful way to word these things without offending people, but I've seen videos of, let's say, hardcore people of a certain religion saying things like, oh, you Westerners, you're not having any kids, but we're having 5 kids. That's nothing. We're having a gazillion kids and we're going to take over. And I remember when I was at school, when I was in primary school, I went to Lawn Street Primary. You can look it up. And I was in a class of 30, and in that class of 30, there were only, I would say, 4 or 5 who had white skin. It's just a fact. It's not a bad thing. We all got along. Everything was beautiful, you know. But I remember in primary school, I remember being subjected to this kind of playground ridicule that was just stupid. It was little kids, no big deal. But it was just like, you Christians, you're such lightweights. You guys only pray on a Sunday or whatever. We pray so many times a day. And I remember that. And I remember a friend of mine reacting to it, and they get into this debate about whose religion is the most strict. It's utterly childish and ridiculous. And I feel as if there's a bit of that going on as well. People are concerned about the insert whichever is the most offensive phrase suits you. People are concerned about that. And I think that one of the reactions to that is, well, we're going to go the other way. And what is the other way? Let's all start peddling Jesus. Now, that's cool. And, you know, I have nothing against anybody who's into that. But when I see people like Russell Brand doing the rosary bead thing and leading people in prayer and all that, I cannot help but think of the Genesis video, Jesus, He Knows Me. You remember it? Anyway, if I could, I'd play you out with that song, but I don't have it. But you should go watch the video because it really says a lot about how I'm feeling about this type of stuff. To me, religion is and should be a personal thing. I think separation of church and state matters. The scientific way matters. The Renaissance, the Enlightenment, all of that stuff matters. And I think it would be a shame if we let go of these things. So that's my opinion. But what's yours? Let me know in the comments. And with your permission, I am going to hit the road. Thank you so much for joining me for this waffle. The great Daffa is here in full formation. How you doing, Simon? Nice to see you. Nice to see you. Yep. And some very intellectual comments here. Tomorrow, I'll just read it. It says, anyone who knew how medical treatments are developed should have known it was impossible to prove the claimed safety and effectiveness in such a short time. And you know what's funny, just to add to that comment? You could make the case that this was an exceptional circumstance. People were dying. There was a sense of panic. We had to lower our guard and not be quite as meticulous as we would have normally been. And I would accept that argument. It's just that I'm not seeing any apologies. I'm not seeing any backing down. And in fact, I'm seeing a doubling down. They're doubling down with the bullshit. Now, there's me leaving with a swear word. I may not be a particularly graceful communicator, but at least I respect the scientific way. And I'll never apologize for that. And I think that it would, by all means, look, I think we're pre-programmed to be superstitious. I know I am. Look, you have to be to have things like this on your desk, right? I'm as superstitious as anybody. But I think it would be a mistake to participate in some battle of the religions, a battle of the desert religions as well. That would be foolish, and it would probably be futile as well. All right. Thank you very much indeed for listening. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see you very soon. Cheers.